What's up guys, Star Wars Only here, and sorry I've been a little absent lately. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I'm finishing up high school finally, and getting a lot of my life stuff going on, and so I haven't had much time for YouTube. However, I do have a video today. I just finished Thrawn. I've been trying to read a chapter a night, maybe 2 or 3. Very quick read, honestly, because it's not one of those hard reads. The book I was reading before was an atheist and a Christian walk into a bar. Very good book. If you're atheist or Christian, very good book to read. I highly recommend it. But books like that are more of a hard read because there are actually a lot of intel that you have to like take in and soak up. The Thrawn book, it's not so much. It's solid, it's simple, and it gets right to the point on a lot of things, which I like. So the video, of course, is called "Skip It or Buy It." Like, should you skip it or should you buy the book? Very self-explanatory. And honestly, right from the start, I can tell you, you should buy it. It's a very good book, and so far, it's my favorite canon book. This book has a lot going for it. What's funny about the book that I found interesting is that it's actually very boring. Like, if you really pinpoint it down, if someone had to ask me what's this book about, it's literally just about Thrawn moving up to the ranks to Grand Admiral. And there's nothing interesting really about it where you're like, oh my god, what's happening next? It's literally just you reading it, and something about Timothy Zahn's writing style keeps you intrigued. You keep reading this book because it's boringly interesting. It's very hard to explain. You follow a guy named Eli Vanto, and decent character, he did his job well, and I mean that's it. You follow him, he's Thrawn's English translator and whatnot, and you learn a lot about Thrawn, you learn a lot about Thrawn and his, kind of a little bit of his history of the Chiss, I think that's how you say his species name, and it's interesting because you learn a little bit about the unknown regions, the outer rim stuff. So more about that later, because I do have a speculation video that I want to make, but they talk about the unknown regions in that, which also ties into Empire's End on how the Emperor thought, and Thrawn probably helped them, that there's stuff out there in the unknown regions that influence the Force, and there's a lot of stuff out there that he needs to deal with or he wants to go see. And I like that. I think that's very interesting. And this book does well on kind of hinting at some of that stuff, especially at the very end. You're going to really like the end if you hold on to this book and you truly understand everything about it. And it's hard to miss anything important in this book because it's so simply written that you can read it very well. I didn't like the Chuck Wedding books about the Aftermath series because when you're reading them, they're boring, but they have interesting moments, but they keep repeating themselves. Like, they would be like, oh, the person's walking on, in a cold room, but he could feel the ice on his feet and see his breath. And it's stuff like that where it's like, all right, you're really over-exaggerating. Just get to the fucking point. And that's how this book is. It gets straight to the point, and I really do like that. And you also follow, I can't remember how to say her name, Andrina or Arienda or whatever the hell, Governor Price, you know her from Rebels. You also follow her story and how she came up to be a governor. And that was actually interesting as well. It was a little boring, of course, because it's literally just them moving up through imperial ranks in politics. But it's interesting. It's boringly interesting. It's so confusing and hypocritical of me to even say it, but it really is boring if you try to explain it or think about it. But it's for some reason very interesting, and I like that. It makes it a really solid book. There's no overdone action. There's hardly any action at all. But learning how Thrawn thinks and how he's teaching the guy Eli slowly but surely over all these years how to think like him, it's actually very nice and it's cool. It's really cool. And seeing how Eli progressed from at the beginning he's like, man, I really don't want to be this guy's translator. And at the end he's like, I wonder what life would have been like without him. I mean, this guy made me who I am. And it's really cool. And he gives him a big opportunity at the end. You read it in the epilogue, a huge opportunity in life. And it's quite amazing. And I can't recommend this book more enough. The only book that I think kind of comes close to this is the Tarkin book, which is also a book about, I guess, not really moving up through the ranks, but, you know, being in the Imperial and seeing the Imperial side of things. And it's very interesting. Tarkin was a good book. I didn't do a review on it because it was many years ago. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I recommend picking up with that one. I think that's the second best out of the new canon. Thrawn is by far #1. Tarkin's #2. Thrawn's by far the #1 book I've read from the new canon, and I absolutely love it. I don't think I'll reread it because, I mean, I literally just read it. It might be a little while before I reread it. I don't reread many books except for like Lord of the Rings, but this book is a very solid pickup, very worth it. I bought it at Celebration, so I got the special edition, which is a cool little cover, and that's it. But I really do recommend you go to pick up this book because it has something going for it. It teaches you a little bit more about Thrawn, and about his species, and it gives you these speculations in your mind, and it ends the way I like things ending, where it's that mystery of what's going to happen next. A lot of people think there's going to be a Thrawn 2. I completely disagree. I don't think there will be a sequel to this book. I don't feel like there's a need for it, but I will say this, there should be something on what the Chiss do, what happens to them, and if Thrawn goes back to them or not. I highly doubt he will. I think he'll die serving the Empire, but it would be interesting to see what happens to the Chiss in this book, because they do talk about them a lot. So comment your thoughts below. Do you like this book? If I had to give this a rating, actually, I would give it an 8 out of 10, 8.5. Can't give it a solid 9, can't give it a perfect, because it was great, but like I said, it was boringly interesting. But 8.5, you know, it was really, really solid book, best book so far, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't give it a 9 because I didn't feel like there was that much action that could really intrigue me. The action was kind of bland, and sometimes they skipped over some parts that would have been interesting, but other than that, really good. So comment your thoughts below. What would you give this book out of a scale of 1 to 10? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment your thoughts below. So I'm Star Wars Only, guys. I will see you all next time. May the Force be with you, always.